Rare earth elements are crucial for the production of modern-day technologies, but they've gone from being supply chain essentials to being a pawn in a high-stakes geopolitical power play. China maintains a chokehold on refining and manufacturing, prompting the US and its allies to find ways to untangle this near monopoly that was decades in the making. Our CNA documentary, When Titans Clash, The Race for Rare Earths, examines this tussle between the two superpowers and other global players. Here's what we learned.
The Middle East has oil, China has rare earth. These were the words of China's leader Deng Xiaoping back in 1992. And his goal was for China to become a rare earth minerals powerhouse. When Deng Xiaoping died, the mission was passed to a geologist named Wen Jiabao. He had earned a master's degree in rare earth sciences in the late 1960s. Wen went on to become China's premier from 2003 to 2013. During a visit to Europe, he said that little happened on rare earth policy in China without his personal involvement. As Beijing invested heavily in state-owned mining firms to build up China's rare earth industries, the country incurred high environmental costs. This news report from 2012 showed how a forest on a mountain was turned into a rare earth mine. The toxic wastewater discharged from rare earth washing here turned 53 hectares of local farmland into a wasteland. It wasn't just China's willingness to tolerate the long-term environmental costs. The same formula that helped China build a global competitive edge in EVs, that is, original research, education, technology upgrades, access to bank credit, state-guided industrial policy, and sheer hard work. Well, all of that was also applied to the rare earths and magnet sector.
相当于把一座山里面产生稀土量非常有限，提炼出就这么有，甚至是多少公斤吧，就是，所以要淘汰大部分的这些其他国家，它没有，应该讲呢，它可能有这个能力，但是它觉得不合算，它工艺早就淘汰了。美国曾经有稀土冶炼的能力了，因为它成本非常高，那就干脆转到中国来了。所以中国承担了刚才讲世界上90%以上的这种加工精炼能力。
It was only in April 2025, as the U.S.-China trade dispute escalated, that the U.S. stopped sending its rare earths to China for processing. The United States is in the middle of an AI data center boom, which requires rare earths for its construction. The military-industrial complex needs it just as much.
所以中国只要用了这个稀土这张牌，那么一定会激发更多的，尤其是美国去取代这张牌。所以中国当然还有别的牌了，不能说就靠这张牌。但是我觉得，没到5、8年、5年、8年，或者他很难做到。原因它有3个最起码的软肋。第一个刚才讲的，你要去开采，他自己有了他的稀土资源，他不开采，那现在要开采。你要领证儿，你要圈地啊，你当地老百姓他怎么想啊？破坏环境的这个事，你知道吗？你还要设厂你还把这些盟友资源要整合在一块，盟友也不总是听你的。你特朗普现在大家跟盟友征收关税，大家实际上也是敢怒不敢言，你知道吗？
How long do you think it's going to take the world to wean itself off China rare earth minerals and magnets?
Never. It's not possible. China has built up a capacity, particularly in rare earth permanent magnets, which is huge. We can come up with crude solutions for several products, for several applications, but the whole range of dozens of different products, of different purities and all that, very difficult.
Despite those odds, countries around the globe are still racing to access deposits, secure supplies, and process them into the materials upon which our lives are built.
Rare earths are not exactly rare, despite what the name suggests. They're so common, you may even have a smidge buried in your own backyard. Deposits are found around the world, but China, Brazil, and India hold the largest reserves. China dominates production, supplying nearly 70% of global output last year, while the US, Myanmar, and Australia trail far behind. So why is it so hard to loosen China's grip on rare earths? It's mostly because processing these 17 elements is several times harder than pronouncing their names. It all begins with mining the ore from an open pit or an underground mine. The ore is moved to a nearby processing plant, pounded, and turned into clay slurry. That slurry is mixed with water and infused with gas. Rare earth minerals bind with bubbles and float to the surface, leaving behind waste material. And what's left is a mixed concentrate that's about 60 to 70% rare earth. Now here comes the tricky part, separating individual elements from each other. The concentrate is mixed with solvents such as ammonia, hydrochloric acids, and sulfates, some of which can be toxic. The certain ores need an extra step to remove radioactive elements. Now, once oxides or carbonates are separated, they're refined into rare earth metals. Now, some of the most widely used magnets contain neodymium and praseodymium. They're combined with iron and boron and cooked to make powdered alloy. Now, that alloy is further broken down into even smaller pieces and then again baked in a process called sintering before it's formed into magnets. Those magnets power electrified motion in a vast range of products. There are electric motors that drive the wheels of EVs, and a single smartphone can use up to 16 of these elements. That's all but one, making it vibrate and powering the speakers and microphone. America's most advanced fighter jet, the F-35, uses more than 400 kilos of these materials in its weapons, targeting systems, and lasers. Rare earths are magic ingredients that help put modern technology quite literally in the palm of our hands. But there is a price to pay.
Mining and processing these elements is a dirty business. Strong acids are needed to separate rare earths, and that could lead to severe environmental pollution and radioactive byproducts. Researchers estimate that refining 1 ton of the materials produces up to 2,000 tons of toxic waste. The Bayan Obo mining town in China's Inner Mongolia is home to the world's largest rare earth production facility. Local officials warned as early as 2009 that mines were discharging radioactive chemicals into the environment. This vast area, known as a tailings dam, is about 10 square kilometers in size. It holds millions of tons of toxic sludge dumped by refiners. And that radioactive material seeps into soil and water, or dust from the site drifts into nearby villages, damaging ecosystems and threatening human health. Separate studies found intellectual development disorders in children affected by pollution. Farmers in China have complained about losing their livelihoods. Some say they have lost their teeth and hair, as tests show high levels of cancerous radioactive material in their soil and water.
More than 16 million tons of rare earth deposits are believed to lie beneath forest reserves and mountain ranges across Peninsular Malaysia. Home to one of the world's largest rare earth refineries, Malaysia is seen as well placed to develop an integrated industry. Australia's mining giant, Lynas, already produces more than 5% of global rare earth output at its plant in Pahang.
So really important for all countries to have choice about supply chains, and one of the great things about having Lynas here for Malaysia is it's actually been able to develop a lot of the supply chains, including skills as well as some of the equipment that is required to produce rare earth.
While Lynas is seeking to extend its operating license from 3 to 15 years, the Malaysian government has imposed a ban on unrefined rare earth exports to focus on domestic processing and downstream activities. Now, as Malaysia races to be an important part in the global supply for critical minerals, the government aims to increase rare earth outputs exponentially to 30,000 tons a year by 2030 and unlock an estimated $6.5 billion to the economy and create some 25,000 jobs. Targets which industry players say are just too ambitious.
China took more than 4 decades to build up where they are today. And also, if you were to look at Lynas, they also spend more than 10 years. So naturally, this is not something that can happen overnight. You need to have a conducive ecosystem.
Mr. Lim says Malaysian mining firm MCRE, which partners China Rare Earth Corporation, extracts rare earth elements from ionic clay in the central state of Perak using in situ leaching. Chemical reagents are injected into the soil through tubes several meters deep. The leached liquid is then collected and processed into rare earth carbonates. MCRE currently produces about 2,000 tons of rare earth oxide, all of which is exported to China.
The advantage Malaysia is having because we are friends to everyone, right? We don't take side. We are in a very good position. We must start from a very small scale because to ramp up to 30,000 tons is going to be very challenging.
While Malaysia has the technical capability to develop its own mining industry using in situ leaching, considered less harmful to the environment, breaking into the supply chain long dominated by China remains difficult.
The question here is, are we able to produce that chemical reagent locally? Considering that rare earth is geopolitics product, unless you are able to manage your supply chain, otherwise it's going to be very risky.
Another industry expert, meanwhile, has called on the government to relax the current ban on raw rare earth exports in order to attract investors.
If you have, say, I want you to mine, but I don't want you to export, where am I going to sell my products? You will never get any upstream investors. So if you don't have a robust upstream, you are not able to convince the people that if you come here, I have a secured domestic supply, then it's easy for them to bring in the midstream.
Furthermore, he said a complete ban has driven more people into illegal mining. To address an industry that remains highly fragmented, he has also called for stronger collaboration between state and federal authorities to harmonize rules and regulations.
This is Greenland's snowy capital, home to just 20,000 people, a third of Greenland's population. But the town of Nuuk has been thrust into the heat of the political moment, with Washington's attempts to take control of the island.
Despite the pressure from the United States, there is a defiance here. An overwhelming majority of the population of 57,000 say they do not want to become part of the US.
I am so disappointed of Trump, and I would say he will never get our island.
We had hoped that maybe the Trump administration had forgotten us a little, but that's not. We can see that's not happening, and right now everything is really at stake.
The US president says controlling this enormous island is a matter of US national security, but there is an economic agenda as well. Beneath the vast ice sheet and snow-capped mountains lies largely untapped geological wealth. The self-governing Danish territory has a huge range of mineral deposits. Common metals like iron, gold and copper are found widely across the island. But there are also sizable reserves of critical minerals and rare earth elements like hafnium, used in the control rods of nuclear reactors, niobium, needed for superconducting magnets, and zirconium, found in the aerospace and medical industries. However, Greenland currently only has 2 operational mines. The mineral feldspar is extracted in the west, and there is a gold mine in the far south of the territory. There is hope that responsible projects can unlock new revenue streams for Greenland, as melting Arctic ice reveals these critical mineral sites. But with the process of extracting critical metals and minerals costly, and the infrastructure lacking, the sector's potential could take many years to materialise, regardless of who is in charge.
The fight over rare earths is emerging as one of the sharpest fronts in the U.S.-China rivalry, with major implications for national security and the global economy. Washington has been racing to reduce its reliance on Beijing, pouring money into domestic mining and building partnerships with allies. But the answer to the U.S.'s rare earth needs could be hiding in plain sight in existing mine and mineral processing waste. Enough, some researchers say, to meet most, if not all, of the country's rare earth demand.
What we've got here is red mud, or bauxite residue more eloquently.
Doesn't look very red to me.
No, it doesn't. And as you take some of the moisture out, it takes on a different color.
Red mud is a byproduct of alumina refining, a process that generates a white powder essential for making aluminum metal. This particular batch comes from Louisiana, from the very last alumina refinery in the United States. Normally, the caustic mud is stored in massive leveed ponds like this one, or dry stacked and built into hills.
So it's essentially considered waste.
It is considered waste. So that's the
But not to you.
Not to us.
Buried in this muddy waste is a gold mine of rare earth elements in very high concentrations. 6,000 parts per million, says Chris Young, 30 times higher than what's found in the Earth's crust.
Highly skilled and educated staff.
Young and his team at Element USA near Austin, Texas, are now extracting these rare earths from this source. They're also testing other mining waste, like coal tailings and low-grade coal ores, to determine which elements are present and how to cost-effectively extract them.
The need for these minerals has really grown, for these rare earths, as our technologies developed, as we look at high-performance magnets. So I think there's a growing recognition, even for the general population, that, hey, this is a big deal.
Rare earths are a group of 17 elements, including the 15 lanthanides found near the bottom of the periodic table. They have tongue-twisting names like praseodymium and neodymium. They power modern-day life, used in smartphones, medical equipment, electric vehicles, and wind turbines, making them a matter of economic security. They're also critical to U.S. national defense. Fire! The F-35 fighter jet, for example, contains more than 400 kilograms of rare earths. The Virginia-class submarine, more than 4,000. Much of it is found in powerful rare earth magnets used in engines, radars, and weapons guidance systems. Yet despite their critical importance, the U.S. relies almost entirely on its biggest rival to meet its rare earth needs.
We're held hostage by China.
Gracelyn Baskren is a leading voice on America's critical mineral security. She says rare earths have become China's most powerful negotiating tool against the U.S., as witnessed last year when Beijing, citing national security concerns, imposed export controls on rare earths critical for high tech and defense during tariff negotiations with Washington.
They forced us to negotiate and give up things on the areas of tariffs and semiconductors, because this has all become part of the trade war that we didn't want to. I mean, I didn't see a year ago that this administration would be negotiating with China in the way that it has.
The restrictions are now on hold for a year, but the Trump administration has been on an international deal blitz to reduce the country's reliance on China, forging multi-billion-dollar partnerships to develop mining and processing facilities with nations like Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia, Japan, and Australia.
In about a year from now, we'll have so much critical mineral and rare earths that you won't know what to do with it.
Experts say that assessment is highly optimistic. America's rare earth sector is decades behind China's. It has only one active mine and lacks sufficient capacity to process, refine, or make magnets.
Mining is not an industry you turn on and turn off when there's conflict. And so we are looking at a lead time to getting ourselves where we need to go.
To accelerate the process, the U.S. has also been pouring billions of dollars into reviving domestic production, partnering with private companies to help fund rare earth startups.
What you're basically looking at here is a big concrete box on steroids.
In recent years, Texas-based Novion Magnetics has received more than $35 million from the Defense Department. It's the only high-performance rare earth magnet manufacturer in the U.S. Novion is also turning to waste as a resource, recycling rare earth magnets from end-of-life products like MRI machines and electric vehicles to help bolster domestic supply.
We're not going to displace, on any timeline that's reasonable, China altogether. So what we've really set out to do is at least be, a very, very high performance, high quality magnet producer that at least offers some sort of a strategic second source, if that's all that it is, to the U.S. government, to American end users alike.
That's 40 times coastal levels, so that's really concentrated.
Researchers Bridget Scanlon and Brent Ellis lead a team at the University of Texas at Austin, evaluating rare earth concentrates in existing mine and mineral waste. One recent study found that coal ash from power plants contains up to 11 million tons of rare earths, nearly 8 times the amount of rare earths the U.S. has in domestic reserves.
Could enough rare earths be extracted from this waste to meet demand for rare earths in the U.S.?
Yes, I think so. I mean, there are a lot of factors that need to be considered. One is the resource and the concentrations, another is the extractability, and then the economic and the price volatility. So a lot of different factors.
Working out those bottlenecks won't be easy or cheap. But with the International Energy Agency expecting demand for rare earths to soar by up to 7-fold by 2040, and geopolitical tensions simmering between Washington and Beijing, the U.S. will need all the waste it can get its hands on.